In America, over 50 million people have at least one disability. Over 5% of disabled citizens in the U.S. are under the age of 18. Approximately 89% of schools in the U.S. have handicapped accessibility. The other 11% are private schools. Of the 7 elementary schools in McHenry, only 6 have handicap accessibility.
Rebecca Whiteside is an 8-year-old student at Montini Catholic Grade School. She has Charcot-Marie tooth disease, a nerve disease causing her to wear leg braces. Her leg braces cause her to have many physical restrictions and cause simple tasks such as climbing the stairs to be difficult. Unfortunately, this is a daily occurrence for Rebecca. Montini does not offer handicapped accessibility. Can you show us your braces?
Yeah.
Back up a little bit.
These are my braces.
All right, you can sit down. And can you tell us what your school did to help you?
Well, they put up a bunch of railings everywhere, and we take a different route to gym that was shorter and we'd have less stairs.
Anything else?
Well, not that I can remember.
Okay. And do you have an elevator at your school?
No.
So, do you remember when you were in a wheelchair for a little bit?
Uh-huh.
What did you do about the stairs if you didn't have an elevator?
Well, our janitor would pick me up and carry me up and down the stairs.
Amy Whiteside is the mother of Rebecca Whiteside. She has been dealing with the challenges Rebecca faces every day at school due to the lack of handicap accessibility at Montini. Okay, can you tell us about Rebecca's preschool experience?
She went to preschool with other children with special needs that had physical needs and cognitive needs
Where?
at Edgebrook.
Okay, and what kind of special...
There were children who had autism, children who were a little bit slower in developmental situations, and there was one boy that we knew of who had braces like Rebecca. Other than that, there was nobody else like Rebecca there,
And
whose needs were strictly physical.
what physical needs did she get help with?
She had physical therapy for her feet. She had actual therapy, and then she had an occupational therapist observe her hands. But her hands didn't require therapy at the time.
And why did you choose to send her to Montini after preschool?
Because her older brothers and sisters went there, and I wanted her to have the opportunity to have the Catholic education.
And did you know what would happen if she would have been sent to Riverwood?
If she had gone to Riverwood, she would have had the right to a personal aide to be with her. But I didn't want her to have a personal aide. I wanted her to become more independent. I was led to believe that she could get physical therapy at Montini. This Edgebrook school never told me otherwise. The social worker at Edgebrook knew that I wanted to go to Montini, but she failed to tell me Rebecca could not get physical therapy there.
So then what happened with the meeting at Montini?
The meeting was at Edgebrook,
Oh.
and it was with Mrs. Smolsky, her kindergarten teacher, I believe the principal, and then several different people associated with Edgebrook. And it was at that meeting that I found out that she could not get physical therapy.
Even though the schools do not have the same requirements regarding handicap accessibility, all the buses do because Montini and Districts 15 and 156 all share the same buses. Angela LaBeouf has been a bus driver for Districts 15 and 156 for nearly 20 years.
How does driving a handicapped bus differ from driving a normal bus?
The actual driving of the buses is exactly the same. The only difference is with the handicap bus, there might be students in star seats or in wheelchairs, so it's just securing them that's the difference.
What is
not the
a
actual
star?
driving.
What's a
Star seat is similar to a booster seat for a baby, but it's got a harness that crisscrosses across the chest so that it keeps them more secure and less chance that they can get out of it.
Okay. What other measures do you have to take to drive a handicapped bus than a normal bus?
Biggest difference is when you pre-trip the bus. If it's a wheelchair bus, you have to pre-trip the lift up and down. You have to do it manually as well as electric because sometimes the electric doesn't work. Other than that, everything else is the same with the bus.
Do you think the handicapped bus should be improved anyway?
They definitely need to work on the electrical for the lift because it breaks down very easily and very often.
Are there any codes you have to follow for the handicapped buses?
They're the same codes that are for the other buses. In our district, we don't have specific aids for each handicap bus. Some districts do have aids for them. And the difference is that you are able to load outside of the bus while there might be a student on, whereas on a regular bus you can't do that.
Okay, and then what are the advantages and disadvantages of handicapped buses?
The advantage is that if you do have a wheelchair student, you can use them. In our district, we have actually started with wheelchair vans, which are a lot easier because all you do, it's like a regular minivan. You put the back up, and you just fold down the ramp, and it loads a lot faster and easier, although than the students by themselves. The advantage to the wheelchair buses is there's regular seats also, so you can have all the regular students on with the other students, so they're not so isolated.
Mr. Weisenberger is the facilities manager at McHenry West Campus. We asked him about what the school does for handicapped accessibility.
Well, anyone who has a disability, now specifically depends upon said disability. Maybe for students, that's sort of kind of handled by the teaching staff and their particular, sometimes those individuals have one-on-one, maybe if they have a lot of limitations and it can expand. But, my particular role is to maintain those accessibility pieces and their rights that already were in place, and as new laws and regulations that come in, is to make sure that we implement them and continue to maintain them like everything, all the other pieces that we already have in place. Accessibility at ranges, elevators. Over at East Campus, there's actually a wheelchair lift that takes you from one floor just to get into what they refer to as the upper gym. Parking accessibilities, those are always kind of changing, so it's my role to make sure that I maintain those and stay current with them. That kind of lines it up as the building was originally built, and it applied to all known codes at the time, and we continue to, anytime there's an addition, we address any codes that hadn't been implemented because it wasn't that code at the particular time, and we work to implement them and make sure that they're in place so that the building's accessible for all people and all users.
Even though the requirements for buses are the same, the requirements of public and private schools are different. The public schools will make changes depending on the student's needs or by government law. Private schools are not required to do this, creating an unnecessary inconvenience for those who are handicapped and wish to enter the building. It's time we all learn to lend a hand to the handicapped.
Is because it's important that even people with disabilities be integrated with everybody else and not set to the side and made to look different.
later.